Hi guys, it's me again after almost 6 months, but I have posted multiple times in the not veds time, so credit where credit's due, I guess. That's something. So I obviously love media. I talk about it nonstop. I love music and plays and literature and TV and film, and I have a lot of different tastes. But there's one part of media I'm bad at: consuming new media. I think it's a mix of executive dysfunction, anxiety over people getting mad at me that I don't like the things that they like a lot, the feeling that I have a lot to catch up on because of #sheltered kid, and just having been so busy for so long, when I have time, I don't necessarily want to take risks. It's not a good thing about myself, but it is a thing I am acutely aware of. I know people have heard me say I don't consume media as a joke before when they've asked me if I've seen or read or whatever or something, but it's true. It's really hard to get me to consume new media. But I wanted to get better at it, especially now that I am graduated college and not doing much at the moment. I figured might as well use this time to consume new stuff. And you guys are gonna have to hold me accountable because once every other month, I'm gonna update you on all of the new shit I've consumed. Not every episode of Drawfee, not every new Critical Role episode. We can just assume that those are also happening. But, new shit. Full seasons of shows, albums, plays that I've never seen before. Just, new stuff. With all that being said, I'm really excited to share what I have consumed with y'all. I need to get a better word than consumed. I'm already getting sick of it, but I don't know. I need to get a better word than consumed. If you guys have any ideas or what I should call this, because right now I think it's gonna be 2022 in review, but that's stupid. So any ideas are much appreciated. And without further ado, let's get started. So in January, the first new thing I tried was my mom and I got bored and we put on Kate and Leopold, which, if you don't know, is an early 2000s rom-com. It's Meg Ryan as an advertising executive. Her ex is Liev Schreiber. Bradley Whitford is her ad executive boss. It's pretty standard rom-com stuff, with the exception being that the hunk is Hugh Jackman and he is a time traveling. Liev Schreiber brings him back from the past on accident and shenanigans ensue, and because he wasn't there to invent the elevator, all of the elevators are not functioning. It is exactly what you think it is. However, I have to give them credit. They had Hugh Jackman in his prime, and they knew everything to do to make him the most attractive man possible. He rides horses, he retrieves handbags that are stolen, he cares about his honor, he misses his mom. Like, it is every textbook thing that could make Hugh Jackman more attractive than Hugh Jackman already is, they do. And it, pretty much makes up for the fact that Meg Ryan's hair is the worst thing I've ever seen in this film. I don't know why they did that to her. Kate and Leopold is cute and exactly what you expect it to be. It's average. It is very average. The other movie I watched in January was not average in the slightest, because it was Velocipaster. I love bad movies, for the record. I don't go out of my way to find bad movies, but I enjoy a bad movie. However, this was some next level shit. Anytime I wasn't laughing hysterically, it's just because my jaw was on the floor. It was the most wild shit imaginable. Like, sometimes when you're watching a bad movie, you don't know how intentional this was. You know that this is on purpose so soon. It is abundantly clear, and the fact that it is so clear makes the stupid little choices even more fun, because somebody sat there and thought, we could say that the ninjas are from Japan, where ninjas are from, but it's funnier if we pretend we don't know where ninjas are from. And yeah, it was very funny. Every single aspect of Velocipaster is insane. It is delightfully dumb in really entertaining ways, and I loved it so much. I was talking about it for like a week after I watched it. I could not shut up about how funny Velocipaster was. I think there's a sequel. I kind of want to watch the sequel, but I don't want it to not be as good. If anyone's seen the sequel, please let me know if it is, comparable, because I had a great fucking time with Velocipaster, and that is absurd. Now, January into February, we got The Legend of Vox Machina on Amazon Prime. This was the cartoon that Critical Role made with Titmouse, based off of the first arc of their first campaign. I was really excited for this. I haven't watched campaign 1 as of yet. Don't know if I will, because it is a lot. But I hear great things, obviously. People love it. That's how they became popular. And I was really excited for a D&D animated show. This seemed to make a lot of sense. Plus the cast was insanely stacked, even not counting that, of course, the Critical Role cast is there. Even just the other people they got, it's insane. So when the time came and my mom and I watched it, I liked it. There were some parts I really, really enjoyed. I didn't think I'd ever be a Grog person. I knew I'd be a Cassandra person. I didn't think I'd be a Grog person, but Grog gave me all the feels. I like the animation style, I like the character design, I love the voice cast and a lot of the acting choices there. I'm not sure how much of a Vox Machina person I'm gonna end up being in the end. I have tried to get into Vox Machina on a couple occasions, and they have never been my characters that I latched onto. And part of that is because I haven't watched the full campaign, I'm sure, but there's definitely a struggle for me to get invested in them. I don't think that's the case for most people, but I have personally felt that every time I have tried to get involved in Vox Machina stuff. I think it might just be the horniness level, because they are horny, and I am very ace. There's also a lot of gross out humor in the show, which, it's an adult cartoon. Of course there is some, and there always has been gross humor in Critical Role, but the visual of the gross out humor was definitely something that took time for me to adjust to. And the first couple episodes, it's very rocky when it comes to the humor, especially. That being said, my mom and I were both invested the entire time. She was gasping out loud at parts. There were certain scenes I knew were gonna happen and certain lines that I knew were gonna happen, and I was losing my mind waiting for them. I think some of my favorite parts were scenes where we weren't with Vox Machina, but because we weren't bound to the protagonists in that same way you are in D&D, we were able to see what the Briarwoods are doing, what Cassandra is doing, what the Whitestone Rebellion is doing, in a way that we wouldn't be able to in the traditional game, and a lot of those scenes were really impactful. There's one about halfway through the season where we meet some characters who in the campaign we never get to meet while they're alive, but their deaths are impactful. And oh boy, that was a thing to explain to my mom. Overall, I enjoyed it. There are definitely people who I don't think this is for, but if you like campaign 1, I think you're gonna like this. If you're good with gross out humor, you're gonna enjoy this, I think. If you are good with gore, you're fine. This is something I think a lot of people will enjoy, but it's definitely not for everyone, and I would not begrudge anyone being like, this is well made, but not for me. I totally understand that stance. It is not for everyone. My mom's in the process of rereading the Dune books, and we don't own all of them. So halfway through February, my dad and I went to Barnes & Noble to pick up the next book for her. And I was bored and it was Valentine's Day, so I was just wandering around and I saw a really cool looking cover, realized it was the second in a series, and then tracked down the first. And that is how I read Marion Lane and the Midnight Murder by T.A. Wilberg. It takes place in the late 50s in London, and there is a secret group of private investigators working in these tunnels below London, solving crimes. And the titular Marion Lane is an apprentice here who wants to become an inquisitor, and shit goes down. If I had to explain the vibe of Marion Lane, I would tell you it was Agent Carter mixed with Harry Potter, the structure of Harry Potter, the aesthetic of Agent Carter. And as someone who loves mysteries and loved the Agent Carter show, this was obviously going to be a good fit for me. I really enjoy these characters, especially Marion, but also a lot of the side characters around her are very interesting. There were points in time where I was like literally cheering for characters and like putting the book down to like pace around the house to recover from things they were doing, which is all definitely a plus in my book. I really enjoyed the process of reading this book, and I'm really excited to pick up the next one. My only complaint is that it is so much world building. There is so much world building going on in this book, and it is not the clearest all the time. And so I had trouble keeping track of certain people and who outranks who and how long does it take to go from this section to this section and that sort of thing. This is a book that would have benefited from a diagram or a list somewhere in it. The same way that, you know, some of the Percy Jackson books had maps of the camps, I think that Marion Lane would definitely benefit from the same treatment because it is difficult to keep track of and it is a mystery. So forgetting who outranks who or what that guy's deal is a problem. There were multiple instances where I was like, oh right, that guy exists. And that's not what you want in a mystery. But at the same time, the story beats and the character beats were really strong, and the world building is really interesting. I definitely still recommend it, but with the caveat that the mystery isn't the strongest aspect of the story. But yeah, those are the pieces of media that I have consumed this year thus far. Help me come up with a word other than consume, please. Tell me if you have taken in any of these things. It's so hard not to say consume. And just, you know, if there's anything that, based off of what you know about me or what I said here, you think I would like, recommend it to me. I'm still bad at consuming media. I've tried 4 new things in 2 months, but I'm working on it. So, help me out. All right, everybody, I'll see you later.